Trying to adjust this thing. Here we go. All right. Hey, Ruth Ann. This is the Sanj Patel 1014 I'll be smoking today, folks. It's in the 80s today, hence why I'm outside. Thank Ricky. I think he was on all the time. Randy, what's up, man? So it is Saturday. What's the date? May 3rd. And, sorry, I missed that one. Any new lessons coming up? Oh, I got a few coming. I'm going to do Reeling in the Years soon. There was something else I wanted to do. There's a couple I have coming, but I'm going to show Reeling, how I play it on acoustic, and including the solo I'll teach on it. When I say teach on it, I'll play it super slow so you can catch, because there's really not a lot to it. But yeah, I got a bunch of lessons coming. I'm trying to span them out like 2 to 3 weeks apart. But yeah, I'm trying to keep them coming. I mean, it's really what I focus the channel to be on. I haven't really done any lives. Mainly the weather has sucked. How's the audio? Because it's windy as piss. I grabbed the lighter that was out. 1 second. Oh, that's better. So anyway, totally great, awesome. Thank you, Miguel. Everyone, welcome to the chat. Listen, if you guys have any questions, music questions, this is the time to ask. This is why I do it. Obviously, it's really not to sit and talk about cigars, although this is a really good cigar. I find the Sanj Patel stuff, he's a guy out of Jersey, makes some great cigars. This is the standard 1014, the SP 1014 from Sanj Patel. I think the SP 1014 Black is a better cigar. Reminds me a lot of like a more flavorful Davidoff, I would say, which I find Davidoff to be just a little light. Mikey, how are you, brother? Good to see you. So I got a gig tonight. We're playing every Friday and Saturday these days. Hold on, I gotta mute that. Okay. Hold on. How do I get rid of this? Oh my God. What am I doing? 1 second, guys. I don't know how this opened up. How do I close this? Are you kidding me? All right, get it out of the way. There we go. Get this back up because I can't see any chat, any live chat. 75th anniversary, it's cheap. 75th anniversary what? Can you explain reharming chords to make the basic rock chords sound more interesting? Well, yeah, I mean, reharmonization is where you can, well, number one, you can add extensions that you can hear in the melody, or you can just add extensions. Reharmonization is just you taking...
You blew it! You blew it!
Hold on. That's my brother. Let me just find out what the hell's going on here. How do I clear? Hold on. One more. All right. So anyways, reharmonization is like a thing, you know, it's like, say, you could basically substitute any chord that you want in chords just to make it, you know, as long as they're somewhat similar and have the same movement effect. Like if you're playing like a, like let's say you're playing a 2-5-1, you could play, instead of a 2-5-1, the 5 you can use a tritone substitution, so you could play a 2 flat 2 1 to substitute it. So there's all kinds of, I mean, it's, you have to have somewhat a knowledge of harmony to reharmonize, but that's where I would say you could start, is look up reharmonization stuff on tritone substitutions. You can make chords more interesting. For instance, if you're going to a 7 chord, you can substitute it with a 7 flat 9. That'll make it more interesting. Or 7 flat 9 sharp 5 is an interesting chord. So there's all kinds of stuff you could do. Did I say flat 5? Flat 5. You know, major 7 sharp 11. Anything you want to add, if you understand the harmony, and you can reharmonize stuff. That's not something I can give like a real direct answer in a cigar type of thing, but it's you basically. I mean, if you watch, like we play In Your Eyes in my AM station band, we play it like the record. I watch countless people I've seen play it live, and I won't play songs that other people do live, like if a lot of people do them, but I've never seen everyone plays the chords wrong. Now, in a way, you could say they reharmonized the song. I would say they just don't hear the chords right. You know, they're still playing all triads and whatnot, so... I think I did a lesson on it, but yeah. I mean, there's even like famous people that have covered it where I'm like, they're not playing the right chords. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They've totally changed the chord structure, and I don't get it. It's definitely not a reharmonization, because like I said, they're just playing triads. They're just simplifying it and making it, I don't even know anybody in the Derby. I haven't, you know, I always bet number 4. Always bet 4. That's my lucky number. Somebody invited me to a Derby party. Pipes? Not really. I went to the last pipe I smoked was, I smoked 3 pipes one night because I went to a Sherlock Holmes pipe convention type of meeting, and it just was a long time, and I don't love it. Like, I love cigars. I like pipes. If I was going somewhere and I needed to, needed to have a pipe instead of a cigar, because it's a much shorter smoke. But I don't really care for them that much. But I was invited to this Derby party. I would have loved to have gone, but it's up on the North Shore, and it's later in the day. But it would have been great. You know, it's a whole dress-up thing where you wear the white linen suit and the fedora hat. Would have been awesome. Would have been great. Would have walked around like I was Fidel Castro when he's in a suit, not in the green. But you know what I mean. Anyway. Oh, I love Lucky Number 11. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's a great movie. Where's my coffee? Here we go. And I'm drinking today Down East Roasters. I got Joe addicted to this coffee. I sent him down a bag, And now he orders it online. He loves it. It's really good. Even though we don't do the live show, I see Joe, or speak to Joe, I should say, daily, because at night when I pop on a Fortnite to play a few games, I play with Joe, and we have a blast. Me, Joe, RL, and this girl Christy. We have a lot of fun just killing 8-year-olds. It's an enjoyable time, especially before bed. But yeah, so tonight I have a gig. We've added a few tunes. We've been trying some new stuff. It's been going really well. The crowd that we've got on Friday. Thanks, Jeff. ChatGPT, I said, make me a Muppet. And then I was like, that's perfect. I'm using it. They basically made me Ernie. Ernie. Oh, Hubert. I haven't seen Krell lately. He texted me, I want to say a week ago, or less than a week ago, and I talked to his brother, Krell Bro, a day ago, either yesterday or the day before. He's coming up, and so we talked about him coming up, because he's down in South Carolina. And Krell, I spoke to, I think, a week ago. Jerry's come to a couple of gigs. Yeah, he's been to a few times. I haven't seen Jerry in about 2 weeks. Usually Jerry plays on a Wednesday night. I want to say he plays locally around where I live. I mean, Jerry's just, in all honesty, he's 2 miles that way. He's only about 2 miles from me. But he has to pass by my street, like literally drive to go to this gig. So usually like Wednesday nights, if he plays there, he'll call me like around 10 o'clock and say, are you smoking in the garage? And now that it's summer, we usually will come out at night and sit out while I smoke a cigar, and we'll sit and chat. But yeah, Jerry's come to a bunch of shows. I don't think he's been to one in Whitman yet, but he's been to the Plymouth one a few times. And the reason I haven't filmed any of the lives is it's just a pain in the ass. It's like work for me to keep an eye on my phone the whole night and just be conscious of it. It's just something to think about when I'm, not really when I'm playing, but like every break and everything. And so it's just like, I don't love filming it live. So to me, it's like, why work? Right? I didn't play guitar to work. So I haven't been doing it. Although one of these days I will do one just for the channel, but just because it's really gotten good with Kenny on the cajon, and so we really like the way it's sounding and everything. And we've tightened up a lot of stuff, so that's cool. But for the most part, I don't love it. I don't love filming. What was the last lesson I posted? Anyone remember? Because I don't. Was it Space Oddity? Was that the last one? We've added that to the set, and that goes over really well. Super easy to play. You don't really hear too many people doing it, or doing it right, I should say. So, I mean, we like it. We have fun. It's like 82 degrees out here today, so it's perfect. Here comes my mailman. I don't think I have anything in the mail today. I know I have some cigars coming on Monday. Part of my smoke-in Cigar of the Month Club. And he flew by, which means we have 0 mail. Awesome. No, Jen McCabe has it, but a bunch of the other people have. Or actually, Jen may have. Was she at that party that I played in Canton? Oh, I missed that. Do you ever? A porch board foot? I don't know what that. No. I don't use anything. No. Usually I'll sit in a tall bar stool. I saw there's that guitar. What's it called? It looks like a Yamaha fake acoustic. It just has, and I've seen a few reviews of it, and it's like $300, and I was like, ooh, that'd be a nice thing to get just so I can do an alternate tune guitar and just bring it in at such a small case. I might pick up one of those. I really can't remember the name of the company. They were like a pedal company or something, but yeah, no, I played a party in Canton, and I didn't know Jen McCabe, so she could have been there, but I know a lot of people in her group were there because I know them. I don't know Jen. Jen was, when I was in school, Jen was a lot younger than me. Whereas Brian was my age. And, you know, some of the other people like the D&E restaurant I've been in a few times. Again, not in 3 years or so, just because of Carnivore, but I don't really eat out at places like that anymore. But yeah, that case is interesting and fun. What else? Porchboard foot bases. Yeah. I never cared much for Delaney and Bonnie. I think Bonnie wrote Superstar for the Carpenters, and I love that song. I love Luther Vandross's version. But I wasn't ever a real Delaney and Bonnie fan, although, like I said, Bonnie Bramlett, that song, Superstar, is great. And I'm pretty sure that she wrote it. 90% sure. Because I don't really know much of her. Like I said, anytime I've ever seen them, I just never really, it wasn't my thing. But yeah. People are funny because last night this couple's like, you really don't like James Taylor? And I said, the hell told you that? I'm like, I remember one time you played. I'm like, I just think that song is like it was Fire and Rain, which I like to play, but I think it's a downer of a song. And so I say, this is kind of a downer when you're playing at a bar. I think the last thing you want to do is fucking get depressing on people that are drunk. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's a good mix. But I was like, no. I'm like, you want to talk musicians I don't like, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, those people, you know, I do not like. I don't like their music. I find it offensive. I think it's so bad and yet so highly regarded by people. That's the only reason why I don't like it. And I'll be the only one on YouTube that'll say, everyone was like, everyone's great, everyone's an ass-kissing, self-preservating person. They're afraid to say people that they don't care for. But look, I mean, I get it. And when someone says to me like, oh, I never cared for Eddie Van Halen, I get it. I love him. He was my favorite growing up. But I don't get mad at someone that doesn't like him. And there's a lot of people like in England, like I think even Judd is not a fan. And I get it. I get it. It's not, you know, it's how you grew up, what you like, what floats your boat. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't get it. When someone says they don't like if I play something and someone's like, oh, I hate, like, you know, like the dude in Lebowski, he hates the Eagles. I don't know how you hate the Eagles. I think they're fantastic. Now, if you're performing Eagles songs, I can see how you can hate Lying Eyes. The song is just, every verse is 4 hours long and it's boring. And I find the song pedestrian. But other than that, I mean, I think the Eagles are fantastic. I also hate, I hate Already Gone. What's the one they wrote with Bob Seger? I do not like that song. Somebody's gonna hurt some. Oh my God, Heartache Tonight, awful. But other than that, their catalog is fantastic. Yeah, they're gonna have a couple of dogs. Unlike we were talking last night about Kiss at the gig, and I'm really in the shade, huh? How about now? And I brought up Destroyer. I'm like, I think the album's has one good song, and I think it's Sweet Pain. Otherwise, you could throw that out. She wrote it with Leon Russell. Giddy Up. There you go. Yeah, okay. And I wasn't a big Leon Russell fan, but I love his songs. I think when other people perform them, I love the Donny Hathaway of, I can't remember the name of the song now, but you know what I'm talking about, when Donny Hathaway covered, the big song that he wrote, but I'm on the spot, so I can't think. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, what else did, hey, Cold Roses. Cold, where are you on Long Island? I want a strong island. It's a bartending joke. Babylon, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I had a student the other day, we were talking about some stuff, and South Shore, okay. Well, I had friends from Massapequa, New Hyde Park. So, anyways, we were talking about, understanding the fingerboard, and I realized it's something a lot of people just need to work on, is knowing where the notes are. That if somebody says to you it's an F sharp on the second string, you should know right away where to go. You shouldn't be looking at the guitar in somewhat of a confused state. You should know it. You should know the notes. And so I was telling him, you really should know like all the white notes on the piano, all the naturals, and then learn the neck by all the naturals. Anyways, it was interesting because I think he was starting to really pick up on it. Ruth is in DC. Welcome, Ruth. One has a nice smoke output. Really good flavor. This is actually one of the better ones I've had of this, the SP1014. It's a really good cigar. You're looking at about $10 if you order them. Actually, this one I think is like 45. Yeah, for a 5-pack. So it's about, just under $10. Really good cigar. What else? What else do you guys want to know? Anything? Anything piquing your interest or any questions about any of the lessons I posted? Spiderweb. Don't all shout at once. Speaking of the Karen Reed case, I haven't really watched anything of the second trial. I don't think they're going to convict her of anything. I don't think she did anything, so I don't really care anymore. I stopped investing my time watching it, and just it annoys me. It's been, let's see, hey Johnny, what's happening, my friend? It's been, this November will be 3 years. I wouldn't, no. I wouldn't put horseradish. It's not carnivore, so I don't eat it. The only thing I use as any condiments is salt and pepper. Exactly, Mikey. Hey, Snowball J, how are you, sir? Yeah, I just salt and pepper. It's not that I'm militant. It's just that there's no need. I feel so good. My weight's still about 182, 183. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. So I just don't really. I feel that this is the proper human diet, if you would. And so because I feel that way, there's no reason I don't crave spice. I don't, like if I want spice, I'll put pepper on something, but I don't crave anything anymore. I don't crave sweets. I used to make a carnivore cheesecake. I don't make it anymore. I'm not craving that sweet. When you're first starting it, a good thing to do is after you eat a meal is to do like a half a glass of heavy whipping cream with some diet root beer. That really satiates and gets your sweet tooth, but I don't even do that anymore. So, it's been about 24 hours since I ate, and I probably won't eat for another hour. I'm not even hungry, so it doesn't matter. Good, just been busy. I don't have internet. Wow. It's been an amazing, all my aches and pains went out of it, because was bodybuilding for years, so it was like, you have a lot of aches and pains. They're all gone. I look forward to the gym. Squishy. That's a great question. How do I recognize the odd chords? So there's a movie called, wait, hold on, ever since, because the fat satiates you, and it's so nutrient dense. Just don't eat it with vegetables. So recognizing chords, there's a movie called Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray has the realization, or I shouldn't say realization, the theory that maybe God isn't all-knowing, that he's just seen everything so many times that he just knows, how Bill Murray knew it. Like he knew what was going to happen and everything. He's just seen the day so many times. Music is the same thing. The more you surround yourself with it and you play these chords, or you play these, strange chords and voicings, you'll recognize them almost instantly just because you recognize it. The same way when you hear a song on the radio, if the song opens with an E chord, you're like, oh, that's an E chord. Well, that's because you've heard it so many times. And you might be wrong. It might be an E flat. There might be tuned to half step, but you recognize that voicing and that sound. So music's the same thing when you get into the deeper chords. Now, sometimes I'll hear a chord that I've never heard. And at that point, I have to sit there and break up the chord in my head and hear each individual note, like what's the standout note that's making this so interesting to me, and I'll figure it out. That happens, once in a blue moon. But I do it. Like, I think when I did You Belong to Me by the Doobie Brothers, I had a lot of that, because every chord was this bizarre chord where, he's playing it on a piano. On a piano, it's a little easier to play a chord. Like on a piano, if you take a C with a C in the bass, you have a C. You put an A to the bass, it's an A minor 7. You put an F to the bass, it's an F major 9. So the changing of the bass changes the structure of what you're hearing and the relationship between that, that G, C, E on the right hand. So also on the piano, if you're playing like a jazz chord and you move your hand to a different bass note, you can then really start to have some crazy tensions and some stuff. And that's what happened. So when I was doing You Belong to Me, I basically just had to listen to it and say, all right, what is this odd note that I'm hearing against this chord? And it was chords like that. That's how I figured it out. I mean, it was a little bit of work, because I'm like, what the hell is that chord? And I'm like, oh, okay, he's playing this chord, but he's moving the bass here. And then he's adding this, so stuff like that. So, but most of the time, it's just over time if you listen to jazz, or if you study it, even on your own in the smallest capacity, because I'm no jazz student, but I listen to it enough, like where I hear like Steely Dan songs, and I realize they're not playing, when you hear Steely Dan, to me those chords don't sound like the same chords you would hear on a bebop record. The bebop record guys play much more cluster type chords, like Bill Evans, who I effing love. But Bill would play cluster, and then sometimes he would play these gorgeous wide chords. And to me, Steely Dan sticks to a lot more of the wider spaced chords. And they omit notes. And so really when it breaks down to it, like when they play like a D major 9 chord, they're really just playing a 5/1. So they're playing so a D major 9 would be an A major chord over a D bass. That's really, and they keep it wide like that with no third. So it just, a matter of playing them over and over again, and you start to recognize it right away. You know, once you break down like one Steely Dan song that has a lot of that, like Josie, you'll start to recognize it in every song. You'll be like, oh, there's that chord again. Oh, here it is again, you know. And they use it a lot. And, you know, they were great writers who understood melody, and then they played these, what I call slash chords, which, and I play them, and they play them over these changes and use slash chords instead of like the regular chord that you would hear. And that makes it somewhat interesting, you know. Old Man, I can't tell you, I've heard that song since high school. I have a special fucking dislike for Neil Young, that I just, anytime, so if a song is on the radio, I'll turn it off. I'll change channels. I mostly now I listen to Spotify where I make the mixes, and there'll be no Neil Young in any of my mixes, so I don't know. But like, when I was doing Space Oddity, that opening chord, I was like, what the fuck is so dissonant in this chord? And I'm listening to it and playing it, and I'm like, oh, it's not a sharp 11. What the hell is that? And it took me a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, he's playing the low E with the F major 7. That's the dissonance in it. So, you know, sometimes it takes you a second because it's something you don't hear often. You know, most of the time when you hear like that F over an E, it's going to resolve to an E, like in very much anything that's like in Spanish music. But that F major 7 over E to an E minor it's very dissonant. And I love it. It's great. That's what, to me, that's what makes the sound. But if you go look up any chord chart on the song, they just list it as an F major 7. And I watched, before I do a lesson, I watched David Bowie play it just to see where he's playing the voicings of the chords and where he's playing it. And so that's where, and I watched him play it. And even live, he doesn't play it with the low E. But I'm like, on that record, you hear it, you hear that low E. And I'm like, nope, it's there. And it's only in that intro section of the song. And somebody commented on it that it's like similar to Starman. And 100%, it's almost the exact same thing as Starman, where he hits that dissonant chord. But yeah, it's very cool. But anyway, so that's, you know, how I hear chords and try to break them apart. And, you know, like if you look up chord charts and stuff, sometimes they have the wrong chord. I more than sometimes. And then sometimes they'll put it down as the name of the chord, where I find it's like, well, why would you call it that? It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, that's what I thought. At first I thought it was a mistake, but it happens both times. And I think they probably recorded it, and it rang, and he was like, ooh, I like that, and so let's keep it, and they did it. Because it is so deliberate. It's not like they tried to mute it, or like it gets muted. It's just, so like I said, I think when they recorded it, he probably hit it, was like, ooh. Or it could have been intentional. I don't know. My guess was that it could have been a mistake too. I don't know. Well, it's great. But watching him live, that's how I knew he went to the G chord. Because I said, oddly enough, that sounds like an E minor 7, not an E minor when it goes in the verse, in the walk-up. And it was. He moves to the G chord, which is something that Jim Seals from Seals and Crofts does quite a bit, to play F to E minor. He goes F, and then he'll move up to the G and have the open E. He does that in one of the songs I taught, We May Never Pass This Way Again. And it's really a cool, in fact, he just keeps going F, G, A, B, and the bass is moving through all the slash chords, so that the bass is like F, E, when it goes to an A, what is the bass, is on a D, then it goes to a B, and the bass is on a C sharp, and then he goes to the C, and the bass and the guitar line up. But yeah, I love Seals and Crofts. I think Jim Seals was super creative, and I'm trying to remember what album that was on. I'm not sure if that was Jeff on drums on that one. Could have been early musicians. Yeah, Jay, so it's funny when you watch, so if I'm doing a lesson on a song and I want to get like the voicing like exact, because I'm looking for a certain sound that the record had, so I'll try to see concerts of them around the time the record was released, because when you go years later, you see that things change. And that happens if you ever watch, there's a breakdown that, I was just going to mention the Cars. There's a Cars song, Just What I Needed. If you see Elliot Easton teach the solo on some video that's like over the last, I think it's 5 or 10 years ago, he is not playing the solo that's on the record. He is changing notes. There are notes that are different. And I think, I don't know if I taught the solo on my channel, but I play it. But if you listen to the way I play it, I'm playing it what he does on the record. And if you watch him around the time of the record, he plays it the same way on the record. But if you watch him later, there's some note changes that he does. People take liberties. And so I always try to go as close to the release of the record live that I can find. But anyways, that's, so yeah. Hey, Guitar Wania, what's happening? Yeah, a lot of the times I can hear right away when I hear stuff where I'm like, oh, that's dubbed, because there's no way you can do that, or, I mean, that's common stuff. I mean, that's why I always say, like, when I'm doing a lesson, I'll be like, the other guitar, even if it's a one guitar band, but there's a second guitar playing a part underneath it that is adding to that chord. And then sometimes I'll combine the two, because if you're playing it on acoustic, and you're playing by yourself, you want to have the sound of those two guitars. And, then people will be like, that's not how we played it on the record. I never said it was. I'm telling you how I play it on acoustic, to get the sound of the record, because that's the goal for me. People are like, he played it in a different position. Yes, he did, but there's a second guitar underneath him playing this, and I want to combine. So, can't make everyone happy. I guess that's why my channel's only at 31,000 and not 1 million, But I'm there to please myself. Yeah. Well, yeah, another one is Under the Milky Way. They perform that live a little different than they do it on the record. And I think it's because of an overdubbed guitar. So, and a lot of times if you see them play it acoustic, when Jim and I do it, we play both parts. So, but also with that song, I play it live differently than the way I taught it, because the chord after the A minor is it's an A minor 6, and there's a keyboard that's playing that F sharp. And so what happens is, when I play my part, instead of playing what the guitar plays, because Jim's playing the main guitar part, so what I'll do is I'll play like a triplet run, like da 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 da, using the A6 chord, so it makes it sound more like the record. Because when I play it with a bunch of reverb, it has this haunting overtone of hold on, yes, exactly. Yeah, there's things about when you're playing a keyboard that like a lot of keyboard players do, and so to play it on guitar, you have to like at least understand some keyboard stuff, which I play keyboard, so I understand it. And that's how I look at a lot of the chords too. Like, for instance, if I'm soloing and somebody's playing a G major 7 chord, to me, that chord is a B minor triad over a G. So I'm soloing in my mind in B minor, and I'm playing that C sharp. Now, most people over a G major 7 are going to play a C natural, but that's an ugly note. The natural 11 or the natural 4 is not a good note to play against a major 7. You're much better off playing the sharp. So at that point, I'm playing a B minor scale. Or you could look at it as the key of D. It doesn't matter. When I think about it, I just think of its two sharps. I don't think of keys. When someone says minor or major, to me, it doesn't matter. I just think of the key. So when I'm playing, if someone says to me, oh, I'm playing it in B minor, I just think to myself, all right, there's 2 sharps, F and C. Now I know there's 5 naturals and 2 sharps. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it like I'm in B minor, I'm in D. I just think 2 sharps, F and C. And so it's so much easier because I know the fingerboard that I can go, play anything. And then also, when I think of it as in B minor, I also know all the triads, or the key of D. I know all the triads, so I can play triads over the chords too. Oh, thank you, Jay. So anyway, so that's kind of like because I have that piano, I would say this, because I'm a terrible keyboard player, and I'm terrible. I mean, I could figure out any song on keyboard, but I don't play it enough to be proficient. Probably the best thing I could play on it is Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers, that boom, that 12/8 thing. But because I look at the keyboard in such a simplistic way, my left hand sucks on keyboard, and I'm a lefty. I play guitar righty, but I'm left-handed. As you can see, I'm holding a cigar in my left hand. Because I play so simplistic, and I look at music, and I taught myself music theory, that when I look at chords, I see them how I see them. So I see the major 7s as the 3, like that minor. So when I see a G major 7, if I'm in the key of G, I see that as the 3 over the 1. So I'm looking at it like a B minor, And then you could sit there and go, well, if he's playing B minor, I can articulate and play either a D major chord, because that will add the A, make it a the A, D, and the F sharp in there. So I'm making the A in there, which is part of the 7, which is part of the 9 now. So I'm adding the 9. And so it makes the chord sound like I'm harmonizing a G major 9 over the G major 7. So there's all kinds of stuff like that you can do once you understand how I look at the chord anyways. That's how I look at it. And you could see it in songs like ooh, coming right behind you. The fade out end part after the guitar solo to One of These Nights. The chords just play C major 7 to G major 7, right? That's the whole section, the whole ending of the song, with 2 or 3 minutes. Every time it goes to the G major 7, I'd say every time, but it's like every other time, Don Felder is playing a B minor triad down from high up the neck to down. He goes, all he's playing is different inversions of the B minor triad. So like I said, it's really helpful to know what the major 7, and then when he plays, when it's the C major 7, he's just playing an E minor high up, because you're just playing the top 3 strings, so he's playing E, G, B, and that's all you need to play. The bass, the keyboards, everyone's playing the same notes. So you don't need to play those notes. That's why, if you watch my video on Shame by Evelyn Champagne King, you'll see that I'm basically playing the song on the guitar is played on the top 3 strings. There's no reason to stop playing full chords because everyone else is playing them. It makes it uninteresting. It also puts the mid with so much information that you don't need it. It becomes, you're basically a self-mixing. And, which is what I have a problem with most guitar players when they play guitars in bands, and the reason why the volume is so out of control when you go to see a live band is these guitar players are playing the guitar like as if they're playing by themselves. It's like, yeah, I understand that's the tone you think is good, But in the band context, it sounds like shit. A guitar is a lot brighter with much less bass in it than you think when you're listening to records or you're hearing a pro band being mixed on stage. That guitar doesn't have much bottom in it. They don't want you to have the first. You got to clear out where the vocal's going to be. If there's a keyboard in there, but if there's a bass in there, then they all meet. When you sit there and you play a bright guitar sound with a bass sound together, everything sounds big and full. And that's what people think they're hearing, a big and full sound on the guitar, but it's not. All you got to do is go look up any isolated tracks from any record. You're going to be like, shit. Even the bass is a lot brighter than you think. You've got to notch out that space. Otherwise, it just gets muddy. And then you're fighting for sound because everyone's fighting for the same frequency. Yeah, you should always know your limitations in a band. I always tell everybody, focus on what your strength is and hide the weakness. Hide your weakness as much as you can. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like we play in a, it's really me and Jim on guitar. Sometimes Jim's on piano and Kenny's on a cajon. So sometimes people ask for a song like Hotel California. I'm like, we're not playing it. I'm like, to make that song sound good, I need a couple of other guitars in there. People will ask for Ventura Highway. I'm like, I need, if somebody comes and wants to sit in on a third guitar, then we'll do it. But otherwise, I feel like you're not going to really get across the wow factor. And that's, to me, that if it's not the wow factor, it's a weakness. So hide it. Don't do it. And we don't. That's one of the things when people request a song, I'll be like, sometimes I'm like, nah, but we'll do this one. Mainly because we can pull off the other one, making it sound good. And the other one is either like a pedestrian type song anywhere where it's like a G, C, D, which I don't want to play that type of song anyway. It's boring. But you know what I mean. I want to make it sound good. I want people to sit there and be like, wow, these guys sounded great doing a track like this. No. New. Yeah. I don't have it on me. It's upstairs. I'll get it later. I'll put it on your table. That was my mom. She turned 86 2 days ago. We have the same conversation 6 times a day, where she'll ask me for something, and then forget she asked. Anyways, what else? Wow, this thing is smoking like crazy. A lot of smoke output. Anyway, what other questions do you guys have? Anything? Now's the time. I don't know when the next live I'm going to do is. I'm not doing these things a lot. All right. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, I turned 57 this year. I'm Heinz 57 this year. Oh, nice, Doug. Yeah, it looks like Ernie, doesn't it? They made me into Ernie. It's fucking great. Grillbar's good. He's working. like I said, he texted me like a week ago. I'm trying to remember what the hell he said. He was going somewhere, smoking a cigar. I forget what he said. And I said, we have to get together soon. Very good. Happy birthday. '56, born in '69, class of '87. Yeah, I'm class of '86. Yeah, somebody asked me the other day, yesterday, they were like, how do you know all these old songs? I'm like, I grew up with them. She was like, no, no, no. And meanwhile, she didn't realize I was in my 50s. She was like, nah, these are like 10, you would have been not born yet. I'm like, no, I was born. Trust me. Which was nice to hear. But, thanks, Doug. Have a great time. Have a great day. Yeah, it's about 82. It's probably like 84 right now. But it's windy. But it's nice. I'm digging it. I've been digging it. Nine likes. Folks, if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. Oh, yeah. I got no problem with the time we live in. I think it's great. Like I said, I feel great. I feel young. YouTube algorithm is blasting me with what? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good song. I think that's what, a drop D with a capo. It's the same tuning he uses for the chain, right? Drop D with a capo on two. I mean, you could play it just in drop D, but it'd be a whole step lower than the record. Yeah, my dad passed in 2020, and yeah, it sucks. Getting old sucks, but what are you gonna do? You live, be happy. That's what I say. Do what you do to be happy. You know, I take care of my mom, so happiness to me is coming out here to smoke. You know, I enjoy my alone time. It's excellent. But like I said, I'm always in a good mood. Always. Since I started Carnivore, I cannot tell you I've been in a good mood. I mean, I wake up during the week. I wake up and I'm in a great mood. I go to the gym. I get that banged out of the way. I teach my lessons for the day. Smoke a few cigars. Play Fortnite. Killing 10-year-olds with a, well, right now we're in Star Wars season, so now I'm killing them with a lightsaber. It's enjoyable. Life is good. You should be happy, and if you're not happy with anything that's going on, change it. You should be happy. Happy is good. I play 2 gigs a week. We have a blast. No, I haven't watched any of the Karen Reed Part 2 just because I find it annoying. Like I said, I don't think they're going to get her. I don't think she did it. And just the way the state handles themselves annoys me to no end, and I'd rather not be annoyed. And so I don't watch it. But some of the guys in my gym talk about it. There are some people that work out of my gym that are involved in the case. So, I don't, like I said, I don't really talk about, I don't care, honestly. I don't think, they're not going to get her. If they get her, I'll care, because then I'll be pissed. I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody else about the case. I didn't pass the third grade to think that a guy who gets hit by a car in reverse going 25 miles an hour has no internal bleeding, no bruises, and no damage to the body except what looks like dog scratches on an arm. I'm sorry. That guy was not hit by a car. Hit by anything, except maybe a punch. So, that alone, other than that, anything else you talk about in the case to me is irrelevant. Oh, well, she said she was, it would be like the same thing for me as if I was a police officer on a case, and I went, and there's a guy with a 45 slug in his head, and a woman holding a knife saying, did I do that? Well, do you have a gun? No. Well, then shut the fuck up. It's the same thing. The guy wasn't hit by a car. After that, I don't have any interest in the case. It's like, if you think he was hit by a car, then I would say go back to third grade and fucking learn something. Because something missed you. You missed something. You were absent that day. So that's how I feel about it. Do I know who did it or what happened? I think it might have been an accident, a fight and an accident, but I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. For the people that get away with it, good on you. Yeah, you beat the system. Good for you. But don't put an innocent person in jail. Folks, give me 1 second. I'm just going to run inside for 1 second. All right, I'm back. Hope you missed us. We're back. But anyways, yeah. The other thing about that case is one of the cops that's one of the first responders on the scene is a buddy of mine. Known him for years, graduated a couple of years ahead of me at high school. And then the other one, who was more centralized in the case, is the one that renewed my my gun license. So, and I see these people around town all the time. I don't get into it with anybody. I don't care. Like I said, if they beat the case, the people that actually did it, good on you. Congratulations. You're a shitbag. Either way. Yeah, something fishy going on there. I mean, Question everything. That's what I say to everybody. Question everything. I will tell you this. I don't believe anything anybody says. I watch a lot of stuff on physics. And I got to tell you, in the world of physics, they don't know dick. Oh, black holes may not exist. They don't know shit. They don't know anything. Do they exist? Do they not? Who knows? I can tell you, I don't believe the pyramids were built by the Egyptians. They were there years before. Thousands of years before. You know, but they don't know anything. They don't know who built them. We don't know anything. They tell you people, oh, what is the word? I'm a licensed dietitian. Who licensed you? You don't know shit. You're telling people to eat poison. You're fucking idiots. The thing with food, I tell you, after doing Carnivore, I became very clear on a lot of things that people say as truths that are not truths. Let's take a look at tobacco. Oh, it's cancer causing, you're gonna get mouth cancer. Okay, well, let's take a look. Back in 1920, 80% of the population smoked, and cancer was too low to measure. 1950, 50% smoked. The lung cancer was 11 in 100,000. Today, 10% smoke. Lung cancer is 50 in 100,000. So you're telling me the cause, a major cause, has diminished tenfold, but the disease went up. I would say you don't know what you're talking about. People say, oh, you got to read this, the studies. Show me the study. I'll show you a study where they tell you that red meat may cause cancer, and how they came to that study is they asked people with cancer, you ever eat red meat? That could be a cause. Yeah, they're also breathing oxygen. We can make that correlation too, that oxygen caused it. There's a level of stupidity that when people like trust the science, never trust the science. Science doesn't want to be trusted. Go look at it. Look at the study itself and go see what the hell people are telling you and espousing to you. It's absolutely insane. Insane. Everything we've been told, I think, is a lie. Everything. Oh, look at the guitar world. Ah, the wood changes the tone. Oh, it does? That's good. So then I'll play you a song and you can tell me what the wood was on the guitar. I can play you two guitars, you can tell me which one's which. I get a bet with you that says you won't know dick. But it's all the same. Everyone's like, oh no, it's science. It's, they start quoting laws of physics and it's like, yeah, no, you're wrong. And your law of physics is misguided, because if we look at the law of physics of a string, it would completely go against everything you're saying that the node has any bearing on the sound. Wow, that was the saltiest taste of coffee. I add salt to my coffee all the time. I was a little heavy-handed this time, but it's great. I love salt. That's another thing too. They'll tell you, oh, you should really watch your sodium. Bullshit. No, you shouldn't. How come when you get a heart attack or a stroke, the first thing a paramedic does is put a fucking saline bag into your veins? They're pumping so much salt into your body. If salt was bad, why is that? To save your life. Don't listen to anybody, man. They're all fucking bullshitters. They do not know a fucking... Oh, you should be eating low sodium. Oh, yeah. You know what you should do is, why don't you add more chemicals to my food so you can lower the sodium? That'll be better for me. We are a dumb society, brainwashed by everything. Brainwashed. I'll come back from the gym. My mother watches that doctor show on Channel 5. I come in and I'm like, do not watch these fucking imbeciles. Guy was talking about like cancer and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you're going to help people. Where have you been the last 60 years when cancer's been skyrocketing? They've been taking your information and trying to follow your lead, and yet it's getting worse. Like, does anybody stop and think like, hey, wait a second, maybe we're going in the wrong direction? We're listening to these idiots that are giving us guidelines that are making everything worse. I won't even go off on it. It's just annoying as piss. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the pyramids, I just want somebody to tell me how, in 3000 BC, how they moved an 80-ton stone that was cut perfectly with precision and placed it at a 26-degree angle for a hallway and lined it up in brick by brick, perfectly square, with other perfectly cut 80-ton stones. Stones that we couldn't cut today with that precision. 80 tons. And how do they move them? And you could tell me, oh, well, they had the slaves. Oh, really? You show me how many people it's going to take to lift an 80-ton stone. That I'd love to see. I don't know what it is. No, I just use sea salt. I sea salt everything. My coffee, when I drink water, like I'm drinking right now Pellegrino mineral water. But yeah, I salt everything. When I tell people that, what's the first thing they say? What's your blood pressure? Well, my blood pressure is fucking 120/80. It's fucking perfect. I don't take any medication, and I eat as much salt as I can ingest. Well, you say aliens, but aren't we all aliens? Everybody's an alien. I mean, it's the stupidest comment when people say, oh, it's ancient aliens. Well, we're all ancient aliens. How did life get on Earth? If you think we evolved out of fucking bacteria, I got news for you. Impossible. Impossible. There's a guy out of Oxford University who, they said they did a study of this bacteria that they watched for 10 years, and like one day this thing goes through like 10 generations. And in 10 years they were like, okay, so if for this to evolve, and it never evolved, but for this to evolve, it would take trillions and trillions of years time that we wouldn't have on Earth. So we had to have come from somewhere, and maybe our DNA was in the fucking comets that crashed down on the Earth. But yeah, it's an absolute asinine notion that, you know, we evolved from bacteria. And like I said, that technology they had back in the day was more than we have today, in a different way. I mean, I'm not saying that they were like using computers, but they had a technology that we don't have, and we don't know. But there's no way to build those pyramids any other way than using a technology we don't have. Absolutely, you never see it. 100% right. You don't see it. And this guy talks about microevolution, that we have microevolution, but we don't have evolution. The Darwin evolution. You know? And people will go, like I said, people are such hypocrites, because they'll say to me like, oh, you don't believe in Darwin evolution, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll sit there and I'll tell them about tobacco studies, and they're like, oh, well, you know, we didn't know that much in 1920. Oh, really? But you want to stand by your 1850 fucking dissertation on Darwinism? Fuck off. I must be yapping my ass off, because I've never had a cigar go out of me when I just sit and smoke cigars. But when I do this show, come Anywho. It's the same thing about music stuff too. I did a video, it was a lighthearted short on Marshall amplifiers, because it just drives me nuts when people say they have a JCM 800, and I'm like, what model do you have? And people will be like, you know, they just have a million comments, like, oh, they're all the same circuit. No, they're not. The 2010 sounds like shit, the 2003 sounds great, and even the 2004 is not the same circuit as the 2003. So, the 2203 and the 2204 are not the same circuit. Regardless, they'll sit there and argue with me about it, and then they'll be like, oh, this amp never existed that you're saying. I'll show them an eBay fucking sale of one, and then they're like, oh, I didn't know. Why would you comment? Why would you come across like you know something if you didn't look it up first? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Then some guy was like, oh, they made those into the mid-90s. No, they did not. No, they did not. Maybe you bought one in the mid-90s, but that might be new old stock. They stopped production in 1990, and there's very few of them, but it's the Y serial number. Show me the serial number on your fucking Marshall JCM 800, I'll tell you what year. Now, if it's a reissue, that's a different story. A reissue's a reissue, but the actual JCM 800s were made till 1990. They really stopped in 89, but they had the parts, and so they made more in the early 90s. Well, I don't want to get too much on the subject of evolution. I'm not a religious person. So I want to make sure that people understand when I'm saying I don't believe in evolution. I'm not saying it from a point of God. I don't care. I'm not even looking at it like that. I'm looking at it from a scientific view. And the second that I bring it up, they're like, oh, you're the, they think I'm religious. I'm like, me religious? What are you talking about? I think we're living in a simulation anyways. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I'm like, don't come at me like I'm religious because I say I don't believe in evolution. I don't see it in nature. I don't think anyone has. And then people will say to me like stuff like, you really need your vegetables. I do? What do I have in my body that can break it down? We don't have a cecum. I can't break down cellulose, so it's just something I'm going to shit out. You ever see a fat lion in the wild? No. You ever see a lion go, oh, I can't kill a fucking animal today, I'm gonna fucking have a salad? No. More often than not, it would probably kill them. We've developed somewhat of a tolerance. Now, when we first started eating vegetables, they used to ferment the living piss out of them because they knew they were toxic. And so you would ferment them. And the fermenting would take the toxicity out of them. Still doesn't make them a food that's bioavailable, because it's not, but still. Mikey, you're in, what the hell is that? Mikey, you're in England, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, anyone can believe whatever they want. Do I believe there's a creator? I think there's a designer. Somebody designed it. So if you want to call that God, okay. But there's just too many mathematical things that happen that seem a little bit more created than random. Now, that doesn't mean that creator, in my mind, is a conscious being of controlling what goes on in the universe. I don't. But I think something had to have. It'd be a little odd to be random, I think. But again, what the hell do I know? None of us will know. So we can... Hey, man, what's going on? Sean, what's happening? We can go and, creator, designer, exactly. Tomato, tomato, same thing. I agree. I agree. I mean, when you see something like, I forget what it's called, the great ratio, the grand rate, the super, I forget what the ratio is, but something. It's something about the design. And when you look at like DNA and things, and DNA, people say like, oh, we're one strand of DNA different from this. Yeah, they're all somewhat the same. Like if you made a computer program and you could program different things, they would all be very similar in the design. And it's just a little random that DNA, mathematically, how it works out, with billions of strands of code. I don't know. If it's code, who wrote the code? You're saying it's random? I have to say, I don't think about it much, but I have to say no. But like I said, at a level of, once I started doing Carnivore, I started to see things a little bit more clearly and becoming more and more realizing most of what we've been told is bullshit. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. They really only come after you if you start affecting their revenue. I'm not affecting revenue. Can't even make revenue on my channel. I got 20 people watching. This stuff is comedy gold. Thank you. Yeah. That's why I say focus on what you like. What makes you happy, focus on it. We're here for a short time. Maybe at the end we'll figure out what everything was. We'll be told the great unknown. Maybe we won't. No idea. Enjoy the time you have here. Probably. Sounds about right. I mean, these aren't things I really talk with other people because I don't think they can be answered. You know, here I'm ranting, but I don't think there's an answer to it. Like I said, we'll all at one point know the great unknown. Or we won't. Either way, I'm here for a short time. I want to be happy. So I don't get myself caught up in it, but it's like, I had friends reach out to me about me smoking cigars because they're like, RFK is saying that you can't have dyes anymore. Don't you realize he's going to come for your cigars next? No, I don't. Because you see, they tell you all this nonsense about tobacco and everything about how it's bad for you, and yet I smoke it. Well, I have what you would call informed consent. I understand what you're telling me. I don't agree with it, and I'm going to smoke it. When you put dyes in kids' food, you're telling them this is safe, and yet it's not, and you're giving them something without informed consent. And that is a fucking problem. And we've been poisoning people without informed consent for 100 years once we started adding seed oils into the food supply. That's when you'll notice that all the diseases come up. And back in the 1800s, people were dying of fucking viruses. Nobody had type 2 diabetes, heart disease. None of those things existed. Now they're the biggest killers of all. And we're sitting there like with fucking our thumbs in our asses saying, I wonder what's causing it. Wake the fuck up. And all he's saying is you don't have informed consent. So what this poison is doing, they're just putting it in your food supply and telling you it's good for you. Well, it's not. And then the same people who are telling me that you shouldn't be able to get rid of food dyes are the same people that are telling me that gasoline and oil is bad, and yet the food dyes are petroleum-based. All plastic is petroleum-based. It's a level of stupidity I don't want to hear. I'm sorry. I just don't want to hear it. It's like society as a whole are fucking stupid. They're stupid. And Google will probably, or YouTube, whatever, will flag me saying, oh, the information here is false. Fuck you. You don't know it's false. You don't know shit. You just know what you're told. And you're taught everything wrong. And I realize 99% of everything I was taught in school is wrong. It's wrong. Teach kids how to speak English, how to speak properly, teach them math, and move the fuck on. Stop teaching your fucking bastardized version of history, your commie historian version of history, and just fucking move along. And don't tell me how to fucking use pronouns or anything like that. Fuck you. I'm gonna speak English. I don't even like that female actresses call themselves actors. I'm like, well, the word's actress. Every other language has a male and a female fucking word for their words. If you go like to the Latin and Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, they have masculine and feminine version of words. Why shouldn't we? What makes our society so fucking stupid? That's the question. I want to be called they. Oh, do you? That's good. Go fuck yourself. I'm going to say you're a her. Yeah, you got it. That's it. But anyway, the whole thing is just absurd. Anyway, back to music. Anybody have a music question? Sean, I don't even think it's nefarious. I don't think that I think they're stupid. I don't think they want us to be stupid. I think they want us to believe what they've been taught. And they're stupid. And that's what it comes down to. And you don't question what we've been taught, because that is fact. And if I break that fact from them, they think that their system is going to crumble. They can't evolve, and they can't look to see like, hey, you know what, maybe this was wrong. Maybe we have been killing everybody for years. Which they have. All through the 1800s, people were smoking cigars in Cuba. All those places were thriving. You don't see cannabis in Cuba back in the 1800s. You don't see it in the 1900s. In fact, the biggest users of tobacco is China, and they have the lowest cancer rate. But they're catching up because they're eating all the same garbage now that we're eating. They're about us in the 1970s. What does it say? Okay, so the best way to do that would be, so if you look at like a C major scale, understand the scale. So, it's all natural notes. And so if you're looking at all the triads, you have a C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. There's the 7 chords. Now, play them all with the same bass note and see what extensions you got. So you have a C with a D minor, okay, in the bass. I mean, a D minor with a C in the bass. You could look at an E minor with a C, that would be a C major 7. You could look at F over C. You could look at a G over a C, which would be like a C major 9. You can look at a minor over C, which would be a C6. And the B diminished, which would be like a major 9 flat. Nope. What would that be? A major 9 sus. Ugly fucking chord. You wouldn't use it. But anyways, you'll start to realize, and then take the D bass, take every note and play the triads over them. The D with the C over D would be a D11, D minor over D is D minor, and you keep going up over every, that's the way I would explain it to do it. And that way you'll start to see, you'll see like if you're playing a C chord, you could play an F, G triad, an F and G triad over it. Musically, it sounds great. And you'll start to hear the different extensions by just moving the triads over the different bass notes in the same scale. Really cool, like in the key of G, when you play if you play a 5 triad, the D chord over a C major, over a C bass. Really nice chord, like a sharp 9. I mean a 9 sharp 11 chord. D F sharp A. Yeah, actually, sharp 11, 13. So it's really cool, like ways to learn. How do I get these in songs? Well, you just play them, and once you start to become accustomed to them, then you'll hear it. Like if you hear like a song, like there's a Satriani song that kind of rips off Mahalis by David Gilmour, and you'll hear that the chord is basically a D major chord to a C major chord over a C bass. And he's just soloing in E minor, because basically if you got two major chords next to each other, you know you're in the key of G, which is E minor, and he's soloing in E minor over it. It sounds fucking great. I missed that last question. Let me see if I can see it. What's your take on The Shining? Excellent question. Well, there's a video on it. I will say that Danny's haircut in The Shining, which I mock in my video, is the haircut of like every teenager today. I'm like, have you guys not seen how absurd you look? Can I buy you a mirror? You look like you have a helmet on your head. Can we please get rid of this? You are going to look back at these pictures at some point of yourself as a teenager and say, please don't ever show this picture. But anyways, yeah, so that's where you hear like it in songs. Kubrick played drums, oh yeah? It's a lot. I think it's like 84 right now. Alexa, what's the temperature? Oh, she says 81. Yeah, I don't know if it was Kubrick, but I tend to believe that we never went. I think there's far too much evidence to show that, and I don't really, that's a conversation again, I don't really care to have, because people will argue all these different points, and I'm like, if you can explain these other points to me with a straight face and pass the straight face test, then I'll hear you. My Taylor 214 neck, it depends on what paint they used and what dyes they used on the case. I mean, those cases are made in China, so maybe, is the case inside red? If the case inside is red, then the gases they use from the dye when the case is closed is being lifted off of the case. I mean, that happens a lot like in old Gibsons where nitrocellulose is like a really non-drying paint that's always lifting. That's why when you see like colors like lemon burst, or you know, like if you look at Gibson Les Pauls, like let's say you're in the buying market for one. If you see any color other than sunburst or tobacco burst in a burst, those bursts are what happens to the color over time when the color lifts from the guitar. Whether it's in the case, out of the case, the color will lift. So like when you see bourbon burst, that's the color lifting off a tobacco burst, and more of the red is coming through from the brown. If you see like lemon burst, that's because in 58 and 59, the way they sprayed the color, the red lifted off first. And so as the red goes away, the guitar becomes more of a lemon burst color. In 60, they fixed that. And in 60, they changed the way they painted it, and the red was on first, and therefore it stays on the guitar. So if you see a 1960, an original 60 Les Paul, you will see that the red is still there. If you look at Jimmy Page's Les Paul today, you will see it is much closer to a lemon burst than back when in 71 when he was playing it, in 74 when it was a cherry sunburst. And it's the same guitar, it's just the red is lifting off. So whatever dyes they're using in the case is lifting off the guitar. And the paint that they use to dye the fur inside is lifting and getting into the guitar. Could it come off? I think the Taylor paint, at least the ones that I know that are painted in El Cajon, is a pretty solid paint, and I think you might be able to clean it off and make it back to its original color. If it's changing the way the back of the neck looks, is that what you said? The neck is getting red inside? You could take, like, because it's a satin finish, you could take quadruple-aught steel wool and scrape it off. But it's just the paint lifting off of the inside case. It's a black guitar. Les Paul, or you mean your Taylor's black? I didn't know they made a black 214. Black turning red sounds like the paint is lifting off the guitar. That could be whatever paint they're using in Mexico is not a solid, but more of a nitrocellulose type of deal where it's lifting. But if the inside of the case is red, to me it sounds like the red is getting into the black. And again, you don't want to steel wool that because it's got a gloss finish. I would take get some cleaner, guitar cleaner, and get that guitar, get it wet with the cleaner and wipe it with a rag and see if it comes off. My guess is that it'll come right off, but that it's probably lifting off of the, because I can't imagine in Mexico they're using nitrocellulose on a Taylor. Just knowing Bob Taylor, I just don't imagine that they would use it. I would imagine he uses, I think, acrylic, which is a hard paint, which should not lift, like PRS, I think. I don't recall ever seeing a finish lift off of a Taylor. And the necks are usually satin, which makes me believe they're probably using like a what do they call that? Sanding finish? Sanding sealer on the neck. That would be my guess. Again, I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, I've seen the paint booths in El Cajon. I've been there. But I don't recall what they're using on the necks. But on the bodies, yeah, 214C is made in Mexico. So I would imagine that they're using a good paint. Like I said, I can't imagine the paint is lifting. My guess is that it's lifting out of the fur in the case from, and it's giving off a gas, and then that's covering the guitar. That would be my guess. Without seeing it, and without having a cloth in my hand to wipe at it and see if it comes off. Give me a second, folks. Another bathroom break. Only because I'm enjoying the weather so much, I decided to break out a punch spring roll. This was a limited cigar in 2023, and I saw that a company still had some in stock, so I bought a box. It's a great cigar. Probably the only cigar I really like by Punch. Sumatra wrapper, which is the wrapper that I tend to like the most on cigars, Sumatra. I don't know why, but just the flavor I like. But this cigar is fantastic from Punch, which I find funny because, like I said, of the New World cigars, I'm not a big Punch fan. Cuban Punch cigars I tend to like, but I really haven't liked any of the non-Cuban, the New World stuff. So anyways, this one I like a lot. And it's a short smoke, but I wanted to be more, spend a little bit more time in the sun while I have it. It's been raining here like, you know, off and on every other damn day, so I got to enjoy it while I can. Thanks, Johnny. Have you been playing it? Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to buy another guitar. I mean, I'll probably, you know, I've been debating whether I should buy this vintage sound amp, but I'm going to try to sell an amp instead of just buying it. But I may treat myself to a new acoustic at some point. I am beating the living piss out of my Takamine. I mean, I almost have a hole in the front like Willie Nelson, but because I play it only plugged in, I don't really care, but I would like to have like a nice acoustic. I tell you, what I've been impressed with is the, for a cheap acoustic, I mean, for $1,000, Recording King makes a great Martin, like triple O clone, really nice, with a V-neck, beautiful. But like, as far as the Strats, Tellys, I'll never buy another guitar. I don't care. I don't need them. My guitars play the best for me. They feel fantastic. I couldn't buy a new guitar that feels better than my Warmouth necks that I have on mine. So, because I don't care, I don't care. Like, I love the sound of my guitars. I love the pickups. I love everything about them. I don't care. I'm not interested in guitars. I'm not interested in gear. You know, I think it's great for people who do, like, in my feed on YouTube, when I see gear stuff, I'm always like, don't recommend this channel. Don't recommend. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't fucking care about gear. Doesn't do anything for me. You know, Taylor, they make awesome guitars. Awesome guitars. For me, I would like a V-neck. So if they want to make me a 700 series or an 800 series in a V-neck, by all means, have at it. Have at it, Bob. But I like Explorers. I'm not crazy about the necks on Explorers, but I mean, I was a huge fucking Matthias Jabs fan from Scorpions who played an Explorer. So I, you know, and I love the look of the Explorer. I think it's a cool guitar. Would I ever play one? No. No interest. No interest in the Tune-O-Matic bridge. No interest in the short scale. No interest in a guitar with a thin neck like that. So, I mean, I think when other people play it, it's awesome. Looks fucking great. I mean, it's a beautiful guitar. Cool design. Not for me. Wouldn't play it. Don't care. My necks are all 1 3/4 width. They're beefy. They have stainless steel tall frets, scalloped on the very high strings on the very high part of the fingerboard. So they're very much tuned to what I do. And you know, it's funny. I think about, like, if I ever wanted a Les Paul, what would I want? Well, I'd want one that looks like my Strat. I would want it like graffiti yellow, with a custom neck. You know, like the ebony fingerboard with the custom inlays. The back of the neck would be maple, and I'd want it like a '58 baseball bat. And that I would play, only because it would be like something that looks like me. But I wouldn't play it over my Strat. But I would play it and, drop D. I love the way a Paul sounds with drop D. But no interest. I wouldn't care. And they probably want 10 to 15 grand for it, so it's like, yeah, no. Nope. Now, if they want to make me one because they want to sponsor my channel, Marketing Easy, if you're paying attention, yeah, send me it. And the only other thing I would say is, give me the headstock of a Pat Martino, not a Les Paul headstock. I missed that last one. I don't like them. I don't like those travel guitars. Like I said, that one where the body comes off and like the Yamaha style of fake guitar, I think those are cool. Because an acoustic guitar is really not an acoustic guitar when you're plugging it in. It's a piezo. And Fishman for years has been making those electronics where it mimics the sound of a bigger body, and now this other company does it. And yeah, but it's basically a piezo pickup. To me, when I hear an acoustic plugged in, I have to do things to make it sound more acoustic. The way I EQ it, the way I put reverb on it. Otherwise, it just sounds, it's just, you're basically listening to the string on a piezo. Piezo, whatever you want to fucking call it, doesn't matter to me. But an acoustic guitar plugged in. Now, Taylor doesn't use the piezo or piezo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They use the, they have the mics, 3 different ones set up. I forget what they call their system now. Rupert Neve developed it for them. And they sound good. But there's things you got to do to it still to make it sound like an acoustic. One of which is, I think you've got to knock the volume down. You bring the bass and treble down, and the treble a little up, still below the half detent, and then push the volume up. It sounds more acoustic than it is when you're pushing the electronics and more the preamp is working. And that's in Taylor's only. That's the only company that I found that, like, if you're trying to make it sound like an acoustic when you're plugged in, is to bring the EQ below the detent and have less preamp working, and then turn the volume up, and then it really sounds acoustic and nice. That's a cool little trick for Taylor's. I think the best preamp for acoustic guitar is the Takamine Cool Tube preamp. To me, that's the sounding the best. The way that the 12AX7 acts as a built-in compressor, really nice to me. The EQ is really responsive. And I play mine with the added pickup, the pickup that goes in the sound hole, and you can balance that to bring in just the right amount of everything. I really like that Cool Tube preamp setup, but that's for me. Everybody has their opinion of how acoustic guitars sound. Most of the times when I see people play live with acoustic, it doesn't sound good to me. But I'm super anal about like the tone and sound, because that's what matters, Well, people always say, some people will say, oh, Taylors are too bright, Taylors are this. I think Taylors are awesome. They're really tuned and sound nice. Now, if you find that you're playing a Taylor and you think it's too bright, restring it with phosphor bronze strings. That'll darken it. They string everything from the factory with 80-20 strings, and 80-20 is a brighter tone. And there's no getting around it. The makeup of the string matters. And 80-20 has less bronze. It's more tin. It's got 10% tin as opposed to the like 1 or 2% in phosphor bronze. Phosphor bronze to me is a dark sound. And so, like, if you have a Martin guitar and the Martin guitar sounds too dark, put 80-20s on it. It'll brighten that guitar right up and sound fantastic. I think Martins sound better with 80-20. I can't talk now. Upstairs, Ma, and I'm down here. I'll get it for you. When I go upstairs, you don't need it today, so what's the difference?
I want to put it away and have
Okay.
it.
Uh-huh. Wonderful. Same question. Well, Elixir's a brand, and Elixir makes both. You can get Elixir with phosphor bronze or Elixir with 80/20. It depends. It depends on what you want to use. I don't know that Elixir makes their own strings. I know they buy strings. I used to know who they buy from. I don't know who they buy from anymore. But I don't know. Melissa Etheridge plays mostly Ovations. Are they cheesy? Ovations sound good plugged in. They're a decent guitar. I don't love them. I have one because the Ovation gave me one years ago, and I use it for the open E tuning when I play in my band. They have a good plugged in sound. I mean, that's basically all that matters. You know, like you're not listening acoustically. I think they sound terrible, but you're not listening to them acoustically when you see Melissa Etheridge. You're hearing it plugged in. You're hearing it going through her rack. You're hearing it coming out through all kinds of processing, and it sounds great. I'm not a Melissa Etheridge fan by any chance, but I do love her first album. I think her first album was pretty great. After her first album, I think it went downhill fast. But like Somebody Get Me Some Water on the first album, it's great. Great. That first record's great. I don't care. Come to My Window. If I was on death row and they said, you have a last request, I'd say, yeah, play Come to My Window. Because the fucking electric chair couldn't come soon enough. It would be the longest 4 minutes of my life. But I do love her first record. Just so you know, I'm not a hater. Yeah, so Phosphor Bronze Nano Web by Elixir will be a darker sound than the 80/20. Nice, I'm coming to you live in stereo. Hey, you're listening to all the hits, all the time, on Magic 106.7. When I need love, I hold out my hand and I touch. What a great song. Written by Albert Hammond. Yep. Leo Sayer made the hit. Never knew. Oh, that's a great, great song. Yeah, Albert Hammond recorded it first and wrote it. But yeah, how often do you change your strings? It depends. When I feel they're dead, I'll just change them. So sometimes it's a month, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 3 months. Depends on the guitar, how often I'm playing it, and how dead I think they feel. Bass strings, hardly ever. But yeah. And I use the Dario. I like the Dario the best. I've had people tell me that they like, they try to talk me into different strings, and I'm like, yeah, the Dario makes those. It's the same string. You're paying twice the price. Good on you. What are you talking about, old? I missed that. Hold on. Well, different hearts bleed on different strings. Oh, a little Rush for you. All I really know is the two of us get to bang it. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of prog rock lately. I enjoy it when I work out because it just makes time go by quick when I'm listening to like Close to the Edge. And I'm like, man, I'm almost done. And the song just ended. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't have an opinion on Val Kilmer. I mean, he passed away. It's terrible, awful. I feel bad. I don't know him. I don't care. Oh, you are? Caress of Steel is your favorite. I think Caress of Steel is better than 2112. I find 2112 to be the worst of the 70s albums. I don't know what it is about it that bothers me. I just don't think it's that. I mean, I think 2112, the song is okay. I mean, clearly I like Passage to Bangkok is cool. And what's the one, We Are the Priest, the Temple? That section's okay. But there's a couple of, like when he does that, the 1812 over that minor, I don't care for it. I think it sounds corny. Not a fan of 2112. I love Hemispheres in the 70s, and I love Farewell to Kings. So James is saying, Marshall amps, Fender, or Mesa Boogie. If I had to pick a favorite overall, my favorite would be Fender. Mainly like a 65 blackface, like a Vibroverb. But if we're talking about like a heavy hard rock sound, I think the dual rectifier is the best of those amps. I'm not a huge Marshall fan, although I appreciate them. I just am not a fan of that sound so much. Oh, I just disappeared and now I'm back. There's something very metallic about it, about the Marshall sound that I don't care for. So Mesa would be my high gain, and I think Mesa of the three has the worst clean. And clean to me is important, so I'd go to Fender. I can use a pedal to make it sound dirty, but I think Fender to me speaks the most. The old 65 era blackface. Do I think there are amps that are better than those? I think the Bogner Shiva is a great amp for a great Marshall-y distortion, but it sounds better than Marshall, even better than Mesa. Maybe as good as Mesa, but the clean on the Shiva is fantastic. And so I tend to think that's a really great amp that's overlooked. I mean, people talk about Bogner and put it in high regard, but I mean, I would have it part of the big three. I have two Mesa Boogies. I have a dual rectifier, 100-watt head, and I have a single rectifier combo, 50-watt. They're great if I want to play gain. If I want to play clean, they leave me wanting a lot. You'd rather watch Heat than Goodfellas? God help you. Well, that's why they have horse racing. That's what the fucking Kentucky Derby's all about. If everyone liked the same horse, there'd be no gambling. Yeah, modeling amps. I use a modeling amp in the house. When I use an amp, only when I teach, because when I play in the house, I'm not even plugging in. I'm sitting on my bed, fucking just playing the guitar on. I want to hear it. I want to hear it clear and clean. Even when I'm running through like metal riffs, I like to hear it just without any sound. But when I teach, I use a modeling amp, and so does my students. I have the same two modeling amps in my red room that I use to teach, and it's great. But I'm not really practicing with an amp. I haven't for years. And when I say years, I mean decades. It's crazy. I just don't care. But anywho. What we really need is a part of us to get the bam, bam, bam. What's ACT? I don't know what it is. Exactly. I don't know. Usually if I'm practicing on electric, I'm practicing different runs or I'm trying different runs. Yeah, I don't really go up and down scales. I mean, I don't play as often as you think I do. You know, more of the times than not, if I listen to something, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I could add that into something or use that, but I don't need to pick up my guitar to play it. You can just hear it. Oh, yeah, it's such a good song. The spaces in between us leave room for you and I to grow. Entre nous, that's a great song. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of early Genesis lately. I think the guitar playing is really interesting, really subdued but interesting. I think early Genesis was great. I like the Peter Gabriel stuff. When I say the Peter Gabriel stuff, I mean really all that stuff is Tony Banks. But I love his voice on top of it. Like Watcher of the Skies. Oh, okay, I never heard of him. Stones are great. Stones are great. In my gym mix in my Spotify, when I'm in the gym, I always hear, "Don't wanna be your slave." I love that guitar riff. Slave is awesome. Awesome. Great. The Stones were great. People who love the Stones, well, a lot of people that I know when I grew up loved the Stones, but they like the songs that I think are the pedestrian songs that I think are just okay. But some of the deeper cuts by the Stones I think are so fantastic. Dance Part 1 on Emotional Rescue is phenomenal. And Slave on Tattoo You is great. I think Everything on Some Girls is fantastic. Every song on that album I love. Moonlight Mile. I should do a lesson on Moonlight Mile. That's one of my favorites. I mean, there's something that's a special song. Yeah, no, they were a great band. Keith is very, very underrated as far as like how creative he was with the songs. Even though he's playing a lot of the same parts, it's just really clever use of what he does. You know, he's not gonna fucking turn heads like an Yngwie Malmsteen type, but he's just got some great riffs. Almost Hear You Sigh reminds me of a song on Keith Richards' solo album, Talk Is Cheap. I have to hear it to tell you what song it reminds me of, but There's a great story when they wrote "Has Anybody Seen My Baby?" That when I think it was Keith's daughter heard it, she was like, "You're gonna have to pay Katie Lang. It's basically Constant Craving," and so they gave her a writing credit and didn't ask her, and she's like, was so happy when she saw the checks in the mail. She's like, "What the hell is this?" And she was like, "Ah, great." Anybody seen my... But I think, and I'll tell you what a great Stones record is that is overlooked a lot, and I think it's a fucking great album. Now I just have to remember what it's called. It's in the 90s. It has Through and Through on it. It has Your Love Is Strong. It's Voodoo Lounge. It's a fantastic album. I think it's their best album since Tattoo You. No, Dirty Work is an 80s album, and I hated that record. Voodoo Lounge. Voodoo Lounge is really great. It's a solid record. Tattoo You's a great record. I think there's a couple of songs I could do without. Hang Fire, I could always do without. And I could always do without Neighbors. Never cared for Neighbors. But Waiting on a Friend, Start Me Up is great. It's a great record, except for those two songs. Oh, I go post Brian Jones. I think the 60s Stones were decent, but not nearly as good. I mean, if you look at the best album in the 60s, it's Let It Bleed. I think it's hands down their best 60s album. And, you know, there was a guy once when I was managing a store called Alva's in San Pedro, California, and this guy comes in and somebody's talking about the Stones, and I happen to walk into the conversation. He's like, Brian Jones was the band. And I'm like, yeah, you're mental. You're mental. They couldn't get him off the guitar fast enough. Brian, what else could you play on this song besides the guitar? Oh, here I could play this. Okay, great. Why don't you play the glockenspiel here in this song? That would sound good. Yeah. Not a Brian Jones fan. Anybody see my baby? What else? I'm going to call it soon. The cigar's coming close. It's a quick one. Oh man, that's a huge bee. Looks like a golf ball with wings. What else, folks? Anything else? There's an arrow here. What does that mean? Oh, here we go. Oh, no, same shit. Anybody know what time it is? I miss it? 4:15. All right. Supper. I only eat one meal. One meal a day. It'll be my only meal. Does anybody really care? Oh my my. Sun feels good. As I was walking down the street one day. What the fuck is up with these birds? Anyway, I played tonight from 8:30 to 11:30 at my gig. That'll be good. And then hopefully tomorrow it doesn't rain. Mac and cheese, wow. Through the ringer, I don't know how. What do you mean through the ringer? I don't know. I missed that again. I gotta stop looking away. Nah. I'm not a partier. Yeah, lean is great. Drugs and alcohol? No. Not really. Was never my thing. I played in bands where people in the band were on drugs, but I never did. In fact, all my time playing in LA, we used to play all the big clubs, the Viper Room, the Whiskey. After the gig, I would always slide the hell out of there and go eat somewhere at a deli, like a corned beef sandwich. It's the Jew in me. Johnny, we're taking the corned beef back. You lost it. Not really. You know, sometimes a guy in the band would have a beer or two while we played. Never major. And then one guy was a little bit into drugs. It's just not my thing. So I really didn't stick around after to hang out. Like, after gigs, the band would party with the crowd and whatnot. I wouldn't. I would slide out of there. It wasn't my thing. Yeah, well, if you're ever in the Los Angeles area, Brent's Delicatessen is the best corned beef in Los Angeles. And I think it's the best corned beef, period. I put it above Cat's Deli in New York. Although lately I've been making a badass corned beef here. Great. winning. Charlie Sheen? What else, folks? We got 10 minutes. What do we got? What else do we got on the docket today? While you have me. Yeah, people always ask me at gigs, like, oh, can I buy you a drink? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, and I'm like, I don't drink. And they say, oh, did you have a problem? No. It just doesn't interest me. And those who know me will know that's exactly what I say. It just doesn't interest me. Don't care. I know some people love to have their beer. Pass. I'll pass. When I would have a drink with a cigar, like when Bingham and I used to do cigar nights at our old apartment, bourbon. I would like a bourbon, but I could take it or leave it, and I leave it. I just don't care. I would never drink anymore. I just, not with doing this diet and the way, how I feel, I would never, but it doesn't interest me. James, great to see you. Thank you for hanging with us. Creed is back? Yeah. I never listened to them, so I wouldn't know. I had a buddy in LA, he was an MMA trainer, and he was good friends with Scott Stapp, I don't know how to say his name, Stapp is it? But he was good friends with the singer in the band. And he would always try to get me down to jam with them, and I was like, nah, I have no interest. I mean, for multiple reasons. Number one, I didn't want to drive down to Orange County to Fountain Valley. That wasn't in my purview of interest. Sean, great to see you. I send my best to you. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, there's no need for it. Not for me anyway. Some people need it. Some people it's their it's how they enjoy their life. I'll pass. I mean, you have to understand, weekends I sit and I play to a bunch of shit-faced patrons, and they are tanked, especially Saturday nights. They get tanked. And watching these people, it's like is just a strong reminder of why I'm so happy at what I do and why I don't give a shit. I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, there's a lot of 90s middle of the road stuff. This girl last night asked me if I could play a Matchbox 20 song. I said I can play it. I choose not to. It's too middle of the road and I don't like it. And she was like, what don't you like about it? Bah, bah, bah. And I'm like, listen. I said, how old are you? I said, I was around your age when that song came out. No. It stinks. I'm not doing it. I said, pick, and she kept pushing me. I said, pick something else. So she did, but we did it. We did a Fleetwood Mac song, but I was just like, we're not playing it. The first Matchbook is a perfect album. I mean, I remember it had 3 a.m. Push, and what was that? Back to something, back to something. I can't remember the name of the song. I didn't find it terrible. I just found it middle of the road. It wouldn't be anything I'd want to play, but it permeated the radio quite a bit in Los Angeles at the time it came out. And, you know, there's somewhat a nostalgic to it because it reminds me of the house I lived on Frey Ave in Venice at the time when it came out. But there are some songs that, like, you probably wouldn't like that just remind me of Venice Beach, hanging out on Venice Beach. One is Every Morning, with that Sugar Ray song. I always like that. And I Just Want to Fly. They just remind me of Venice Beach. And 311. That and whoa, Amber is the all the 311 songs. They remind me of Venice Beach because usually, like, you know, Venice Beach has that walk street and there's all these tattoo parlors and they're always blaring it with the speakers out to the beach. Yeah. Well, how I explained to the girl, I said, is listen, some songs move you, some songs move me, and some songs will move us both. And I'm more interested in doing the songs that move us both than just you, because I'm playing for me. I'm here for me, folks. This is a completely self-indulgent trip I'm on. I don't care. My dad got ill, and at the time I was teaching and playing in a band with a guy from England, and he ended up having to go back because his dad was ill in Wales. So I'm like, well, I'll put everything in storage and head back for a bit. And then I started working and just stayed because then he passed, and my mom is, she doesn't drive, and my sister can't take care of her all the time, couldn't take care of her all the time, and she was just switching jobs. So basically, during the week when I go out and run all my shit that I do, my sister's here, and then I'm here the other times. Like today, when she comes out asking me the same question 8 times. My mom gets her hair done on Fridays. It's the only day she leaves the house. So she wants $5 if I have a $5 bill, because whatever, for tipping, like the girl that runs the place or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get it to you when I get it. She's asked me 8 times today. She doesn't need it till next Friday, but she'll ask me 8 times. She doesn't remember she asked me. All right, folks, this is starting to burn my fingers, which means we are done. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the likes and subscribes and all the comments on my lesson videos. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you in the next video. Will be a lesson in probably 2 weeks. Might be reeling in the ears. It might be something else. I haven't decided yet. Thanks, everyone. And as always, very good.